Welcome to I Couldn't Help But Wonder, Divorce Decoded, the podcast where we untangle the legal, emotional, and financial threads of modern divorce one story at a time. I'm Lorraine Silverman, and this is our Season 1 finale. Today's episode, it's about the fine print, the fast signatures, and the moment you realize you may have agreed to something you didn't fully understand. Episode 12. I signed what? There's something powerful about signing your name. It's a flourish, a fine line, a declaration that this is done. But I couldn't help but wonder, what happens when you sign something in the middle of a storm and later realized you did not read the fine print? Because in divorce, settlement agreements can bring peace or permanent problems. The story, the therapist and the theater producer. Gwen was a licensed therapist, calm under pressure, empathetic, trained to read between the lines. But after 18 months of divorce litigation with her ex, a theater producer who could spin drama out of dinner plates, Gwen was exhausted. She wanted it over. She signed the settlement agreement without a second read. No questions, no changes. 3 months later, she realized she waived her right to future spousal maintenance, she accepted 40% of the marital property, and she agreed to an ambiguous parenting schedule with no structure for holidays. Gwen wasn't just dealing with regret, she was living in it. The legal breakdown. Marital settlement agreements in New York. In New York, a marital settlement agreement is a binding contract. Once it's signed and incorporated into your judgment of divorce, it is very difficult and sometimes impossible to undo unless you meet specific legal criteria. A court may set aside a marital settlement agreement only if there is fraud or misrepresentation, duress or coercion, unconscionability, which means that the agreement is so one-sided that it shocks the conscience, or lack of full financial disclosure. What the court won't do, save you from buyer's remorse. So if you were represented by counsel and had time to review that agreement and you signed it voluntarily, the assumption is that you knew what you were doing. Courts assume then that the agreement is valid, even if you do not love the outcome now. That's why it's critical to ask questions, take your time, understand the trade-offs, review every paragraph twice, and never ever sign under pressure just to get it over with. The takeaway? Marital settlement agreements can be beautiful, fast, private, efficient, and final, but they should never be rushed. Don't let exhaustion sign for you. Don't let fear pick up the pen. If you're unsure, pause. If you're confused, ask. Because once it's signed, it's very, very real. You don't need to win everything, but you need to understand everything. Because in divorce, signing a bad deal is easy. Undoing it is not. Thanks for joining me on I Couldn't Help But Wonder, Divorce Decoded. This wraps our first season, 12 episodes, countless questions, and the reassurance that divorce, while messy, doesn't have to be mysterious. Over 12 episodes, we've covered houses, heartbreak, custody calendars, cash flow, and yes, CrossFit coaches. If you've been listening, learning, or leaning into your own transformation, I'm so grateful to be a part of your process. And if you're ready to take the next step, whether it's a consultation, a conversation, or just more clarity, visit thecdslawfirm.com for real answers from real attorneys who understand where you are and where you're headed. Because love may be unpredictable, but your future doesn't have to be. Until next time, sign smart, love bravely, and remember, your story is still being written.